gum in your face.
What's up, everybody? Mark here, Dotsaman Diecast. I have a very special guest with me here tonight, Honest Diecast, Derek at Honest Diecast. And we're going to I'm going to ask him some questions. We're going to act like dorks and giggle like little girls. So, Derek, why don't you introduce yourself? I'm sure you don't need to, but you do.
Yeah, I mean, some people might not know who I am. So, my name is Derek. I am Honest Diecast, but in reality, we are all Honest Diecast. Anybody who's involved in this community.
Yes, sir.
So, thanks for having me on, Mark. And I would like to start the show by putting you up on a big stool, pal. First of all, I want to congratulate you for hitting 1,000 subs.
Thank you.
You're almost at 1,200 already.
Thank you.
Second of all, congratulations on this podcast because it's freaking awesome, and it's really inspired me to get started with podcasts, something that I've always wanted to do. So thanks for the inspiration.
You're welcome.
And lastly, congratulations on getting hitched, buddy. I'm looking forward to seeing you in January.
Yeah, I'm very excited to get married. Going to the chapel, and I'm gonna get married.
With the little Michael Jackson.
Yeah, gonna get married.
What's his name? James Hetfield from Metallica. He'll sing your wedding song.
Gonna get married. Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for all three things. For the 1,000 subs. Like I said in my previous podcast, thank you for the inspiration to start being a YouTuber and to make the first video. Because I think we both know the first step is just making your first video. First step is making your first podcast. And, you know, you can only get better from that first one. You can't go, I mean, I have seen some people get worse, but it's pretty rare. So, yeah.
Yeah, true. And you're fearless because you just jumped right into it and got acclimated pretty quick. I mean, I think I had a lot more acclimation to do, but, you know, just due to your personality and everything, you just jumped in and it was all downhill from there.
All downhill?
Proud of you, buddy. Well, it's not an uphill battle. It's downhill. It's easy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I get it. So, thank you. Yeah, thanks for coming on. We're gonna probably make this a two-parter. We'll see how it goes. To see if we can make 45 minutes and then maybe another 45 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever. So, yeah, I'm just gonna basically open up by, I think a lot of you guys know us, have seen us on YouTube, have heard me on this podcast, but you don't. There's certain things it's just nice to know about people that you want to get to know better. You know, people that you watch all the time, besides hunting in stores or, you know, being funny and stuff like that, to figure out people and how they tick, like what makes them who they are. So I'll ask some of the same questions I asked David at Twice Diecast. I'll vary it up, but I'll probably just ask most of them out of order so that Derek's not really ready for all of them, but I think I think a lot of people, some people have heard, some people don't pay attention. The thing that I really like about this podcast is you have to pay attention because it's just voices. You have to listen. So if you're tuning in, you're just listening. You're not getting distracted by a bunch of fancy colors or bright lights or anything like that. You're just listening. So this is a good time to ask you. I know the question to this, you know, or I know the answer to this, but what got you started into collecting diecast? I know the answer, but I'll let you tell everybody.
Well, let's put Marky Mark on another stool. Mr. Mark McCotwheel was the sole responsibility. I got started into diecast collecting. I mean, I got, you know, some Hot Wheels when I was a kid, and those went away, and I grew up, and I forgot about it. And you know, Mark and I have been friends for a really long time, and you know, I love you, buddy. You're my best friend.
Love you too, buddy.
But yeah, just like you mentioned at David's podcast, you were down here one year. We went to the store to grab you some snacks, and you started picking through Hot Wheels, and I was like, "What the heck are you doing, dude?"
That's how I remember it.
I was like, "What's going on here?" And I was like, just watching you pick stuff, and I started seeing cars, and I was like, "Wow, that car is kind of cool." Maybe I should pick a couple of them up, and the rest is history. Because yeah, like you said, I walked out of that store with 50 cars in my basket.
Yeah.
There's my collection right there.
Do you remember some of those cars?
I do. I distinctly remember the 2019 B-Case R34 GTR. That's one that caught my eye.
The green one.
Yeah.
With the
not the
stripes.
Super, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that one. I remember the yellow Z, the Fairlady Z.
Yep.
I think the blue Fairlady Z was there too.
Yeah, I think the blue one was too. Maybe red.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember when I first started looking around, I found that black and red one at a Walgreens one time, and I was just super stoked about it because I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Was it the Advan one you're talking about, the Z?
Was it the Advan one or was it the 1552? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I think the blue one. I think the blue one was the 15. But yeah, anyways, those are the ones that I remember the most. And yeah, man, I just realized how cool it was, and I realized that they were always coming out with new stuff, and I was finding more and more and more stuff that I wanted to collect, and that's it. It's history.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my next question is when was it for you that you just got that feeling of, and everyone's different. This is something that I feel, and I feel like a lot of adult collectors get that feeling of nostalgic feeling to excitement, joy that you really haven't experienced in a very long time. Because I always tell people, like, paying bills and just mundane sometimes things in life, they don't bring you any joy. But to be able to find, like, basically tell me about your first, like, super treasure hunt. Like, once you found out about those and you leached onto those, because I know how much you love those. What was that feeling like the first time you found a super treasure
hunt? Yeah, I think the first time I felt nostalgic and true, like, attachment to this hobby was when we discovered that the Silhouette set was coming out and the 930 RWB was coming out, and I was like, that car is so sharp. That's also the car that is responsible for my love for Porsches now to this day. I'm absolutely addicted and hooked because of that car.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to let everybody know that doesn't know, I mean, a lot of people assume that I only go after supers, which I do love collecting super treasure hunts. You know that.
Yeah, it's a fact.
but yeah, it's not all I collect. And back to what David was saying on the last podcast, you can go down a rabbit hole really quick, and you should only collect what you like. Exactly what you said on the last podcast.
Yeah.
And the problem with me is that I like a lot of different things. And I know that you're the same way. You're like, you want to stick to Nissans and Datsuns, but then you see this car and this car and that car, and you're like, ooh, gotta have. I don't know where I was really going with that, but as far as the first Super I ever found, I don't remember what case it was in. I want to say it might have been F case. 2019, Back to the Future Hover. Now, I only kept that car for about 24 hours because back then I was still going to shows. But the feeling that I felt when I realized that it was a super treasure hunt, man, I lost it. I was just sitting there in shock and disbelief. People were looking at me funny, like I was going crazy.
Yeah.
Because I had been collecting for well over a year after you introduced me to it. And I looked really hard for them, couldn't find them, no matter what I did. And then go figure, about a year and a half later, boom, there it is. I found a fresh stock, and I see it, and I just take a look at it, and I see that TH logo on it, and I do the little card flip where you look at the card, to look for the gold stamp,
Yeah.
and boom, there it was.
Wow.
There it was. And I was just, I was, in a sense, I was hooked there, and I started looking really hard for them.
Yeah, I can remember the same feeling. I think that was the Tesla Model S that I found, that somebody had picked it up and just set it down. And all these, you look through thousands of cars and you don't find one, and then you find one that somebody else just had in their hand and they set down because they had no idea what they were looking at. So, but yeah, you feel like when you go to, I think a lot of people that are listening in can relate. When you find a super treasure hunt and you go to check out and you see it blip $1.99 or whatever, you feel like you're stealing it, because you know what it's worth. Not that any of us want to sell it, because Derek, we'll get into scalpers later because I know we're going to touch on that subject, but we can trade and do other things, but we know that it's instantly worth at least $20-$30 even for a crappy one, and we're not going to sell them, but it just feels weird, and then especially if you were to go through like a checkout with the belt on there. You can't set it down because it's just going to get jammed in the belt thing. They have no respect for cars. They're just like, ooh, looks like as they grab it and bend it, like, ooh, look at this, ooh, yeah, bang bang. Like, put that down.
Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it, man. So, self checkout for the win. Sometimes I get a little sketched, even just if I find one handing it to a cashier, and I'm just like,
yeah, they don't know. They have no idea. They figure it's for a kid, like. They could drop it or, bend it or whatever, so I try not to go through self-checkout. I've only done it a couple times, especially if it's a super treasure hunt. I'm not going through that. I'm not going to risk that, have that thing get stuck in the conveyor belt. It's like it gets stuck in there and the fire starts.
Yeah. And then you hear those horror stories where, I don't know how many people have told me this, but they were like, dude, I found a super treasure hunt and I went through checkout and I gave it to the cashier and she bent the card like on purpose. Have you ever heard that happen before?
No, I haven't heard that before.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's some horror stories going around that they purposely do that because I don't know if they have a problem with collectors or, their manager told them to do it, to prevent them from reselling it or whatever. But yeah, I heard that and I was like, yeah, I'm doing self-checkout every single time from there on out.
Yeah, that's ruthless. That's really, you have to be a really bad person to do something like that, Because how do you know whether somebody's a scalper or a true collector? You just really don't. Not unless they got, a basket full of all the same cars, But they're not going to typically go through the self-check, or they're not going to go through the conveyor belt. They're going to go through self-checkout, most scalpers, I would imagine. But yeah, it's an awesome hobby. It's a lot of fun to be able to go look for things, and it can be, I think both of us know, and a lot of people listening in know how frustrating it can be too, to not find anything, especially, at Walmart, or as you call it, the local disappointment. You go back there like every day, but like I've told in one of my other podcasts, like basically the beginning or some basics for hunting, you just really have to keep going back and keep your head up, because that could be the day you find a super treasure hunter or that one car you're looking for. You never know, so you have to keep going back, and it can be demoralizing sometimes. It's just like there's nothing here, there's never anything here, So sometimes it's nice to take a little break and reset, and not think about whether there was something there and somebody else got it. You just can't think about that a lot of times. You just have to, somebody else found something. You can't think like that. It'll drive you crazy. So,
yeah, I agree to that. And, I don't know what it is about local disappointments in my area, but it seems like pretty much every single one has somebody that just has that store on lock, like legitimately or illegitimately. Maybe they have somebody that helps them out there, or maybe they know exactly when those pallets are getting pulled and when those cars are getting pulled on the floor. That makes it frustrating too.
Yeah, it makes it very frustrating, especially when like when you see boxes come out and they're already missing stuff out of the boxes, out of the cases, there's someone's already been through it, So I think
Yep.
we all know that happens pretty much everywhere, most everywhere, and it's refreshing to find places that don't do it. Like I said in my podcast too, it's just nice to be able to clean up after yourself. Always leave it much cleaner. I mean, first off, you should just do that because your parents should have raised you right, and if they didn't, you still have an opportunity to be a good person. And then secondly, it just, people know that you're the good guy that's coming around there, that you're a collector, and that you're helping their lives, they're making their lives easier. So when you ask them, hey, do you have any more in the back? Hey, can I ask you a question? If you're just very nice to them, they're most likely going to help you out. And maybe they'll bring the box out and let you look through it. And then, yeah, you're going to put it away for them, after you look through it. Because they were nice enough to let you go through a case. You can put all the cars away and organize things for them, But,
Yeah, and sorry.
You good?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize how far that goes as far as picking up after yourself, being respectful, being nice, even when they tell you no.
Yeah.
Even if it seems like they're having a bad day and they're just they're just being rude because they feel like telling somebody no that day. Just be nice. Come back. Try again on another day. That's really, people ask me how I score all the time, and I tell them the same thing. It goes back to being respectful. It's it's common sense. Clean up after yourself. Be respectful. Even if they don't give you what you want, help them out. Fill out surveys. Do what it takes to show that you're different from every other guy that comes in there and trashes the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and they'll see that. I mean, Derek can attest to that. I can attest to that. I don't have a lot of places that I have like tight relationships with because I kind of hit up a larger area, sometimes like 20, 30 minutes away, different towns. But yeah, I always clean up. I always leave it a little bit. Not all of us have time to clean up everyone's mess. Like every time you go in, you're not going to be cleaning up everybody's mess because it's just not our job to do. But if you got time to at least put a couple up, and leave it somewhat cleaner than when you came in, that's an important thing, So
yeah, and if they bring out some cases, at least offer to peg those for them. That's the least we can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most of the time they'll tell you no. They'll be like, no, don't worry about it. We got it. But at least throw that out there so you can show that you care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just be thoughtful. Just be kind. It's pretty easy. So I had a question for you that I just came up with today. Like, what if I didn't get you started into this diecast? What do you think you'd be doing with all your free time and free money right now?
Dude, I have no idea. That is a really good question. As you touched on the last podcast, we met through cars.
Yeah.
And that used to be my number one hobby, was building and modifying cars, racing cars, all that stuff. Well, life is a wave. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down.
Yeah.
And it went down, and we couldn't afford to do that anymore, and goals changed, plans changed. So thankfully you came along and you came down here and showed me this wonderful new addiction.
Yeah, it's much cheaper.
So, yeah, and it's great because I always, when I go out looking for Hot Wheels, I always think about us because, we were friends through cars, through real life cars, and now we're friends through Hot Wheels. We network through Hot Wheels and, Diecast in general, and it's just awesome. I'm very thankful. I'm very, very blessed.
Yeah, me too, buddy. I mean, it's everything. Everything happens for a reason, like how we met each other and became best friends, and throughout the years, and we're like brothers. Sometimes when we spend a week together or whatever, we start to bicker and stuff like that, like a married couple. But but that's just what it's like having like a best friend, people that sometimes get on your nerves a little bit, but you just get through things like no big deal, you know. So that's what real friends are like. It's not just a bunch of fake smiles and everything's good all the time. Just So, but yeah, it's been a real blessing to have you in my life, and I think we've met a lot of awesome people, just like David on here yesterday, and I'll have Nas Nostalgic on here next week, hopefully. We kind of drew these people in, or they drew us in, or vice versa. It's hard to say sometimes, but we all get along really well, and it's like it's awesome to be able to. I'd love to meet David one of these days. I will, and then I'd like to meet Nas too, as well, because he's just hilarious and he has a big heart. He's a good dude. So so.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it all
Absolutely, and
happens for a
everybody
reason.
brings something to the table. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, and then everybody's got huge hearts in this community. Like I was saying, I think I was saying it with David in my podcast yesterday. There is definitely like a divide in the community of diecasters. There's the greedy ones, and then there's like the selfless, nice ones, you know. And I feel like it's much bigger, the nice ones and everything, of course, because we've seen hundreds of people, come in contact of just very generous people. But, I feel like it's more on, personally, what I've seen is I've seen a lot of scalping and stuff like that happen on Instagram and probably Facebook. That's where people, like, Facebook Marketplace, that's where people just really go to sell stuff and, flip Hot Wheels and stuff. And they don't care about their fellow collectors because they're not collectors, So it's been nice being on YouTube. I see a lot less of that. There's not a lot of that. I mean, everybody's kind of showing what they have, what they collect, but you're not seeing too much of people just trying to sell stuff, So that's what's nice about YouTube. But I would like to bring over basically what I would call, scalpers from the dark side and have them be a part of something special, a nice community where people give each other cars without expecting anything in return, What a concept.
Yeah.
So it really, especially for me doing like the charity raffles that I do, it really sometimes disgusts me on, some of the raffles that are done just consistently all the time trying to make a bunch of money, just for profit. And that's fine if they want to do that. It's their own choice, but, how about you do it for charity every once in a while, or at least contribute to something bigger than yourself, because it doesn't even, for all the effort that these people put into selling toy cars, it's not making them a bunch of money. They could make a lot of money doing something else, It's just, I feel like they're spinning their wheels, so, honestly.
Amen to that. And yeah, let's face it. I mean, nobody on the street, any Joe Schmo, is not getting rich off of flipping diecast. It's just not happening. No. Now, if you go out and get a legitimate business license and become a wholesaler, invest the money, the time.
Sure.
Yeah, you can probably make some pretty good coin. And in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
If you're a legitimate business owner, all that stuff, my whole spiel is just like you said. The Joe Schmoes that run raffle pages that are constantly going out and picking up all the hot stuff. You see them at the shows, at the local shows, setting up tables, flipping the hottest stuff. It's not even vintage stuff.
Yeah, just current stuff you could find yourself, but they took all of it, so you can't.
Exactly. You spend all week finding that stuff, and then you go to one of those shows and you see a table full of them.
Yeah.
Main lines for like $5 or $8 a piece. I mean, yeah. Come on, let's get real. It's that was the whole one of the whole inspirations for me starting my Facebook group and eventual YouTube channel was just like you said, try to convert, try to change people's opinions that this is a hobby. It's a legitimate hobby that brings people a lot of joy. And it shouldn't be used as a tool to make money. It just shouldn't.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I agree fully on that. And, it gets frustrating sometimes when those same scalper people are just telling people to stop crying. It's like, we're not crying. You're just being a jerk. You're just taking away people's joy. It's just not thoughtful. It's not nice. It's just find some other way to make money. There's plenty of different ways. I detail cars outside of work. That makes me money. It's called hard work. So.
Amen to that. Yeah, that's what I always say. Get a job, get a side hustle. You can make all the funds that you need to fund your hobby. Just by getting a little side hustle. Work
Uber
hard,
Eats,
earn your money, and then do it. Yeah, Uber Eats. I did Postmates for a little while, and
yeah.
The money that I was making on there, it could fund a week of hunting. And me, I hunt pretty heavy, so
yeah.
There's different avenues. And then going back to the people that call people that have a concern, crybabies. Well, it's another reflection upon their character. They,
Sad.
These guys that have plugs and flip cars and stuff, they disable comments, they call people crybabies, blah, 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 but there's a lot of domino effect by what they do. And, more importantly, it's the buyers. It really is the buyers that feels that whole thing. And we can get into that later, but yeah, we got to be disciplined and we got to have some self-control.
Yeah, I mean, we can get into it later, but I'd like to touch on it real quick just because I had somebody, and I'm not going to use their name, but I was talking to somebody recently, and I had talked about this in a previous podcast, but they paid a couple $100 for a super treasure hunt, and a main line. I think they sold them an error or something like that with it too, but it's just, I said, man, you can't do that. You can't pay that money. And, he said, I can't get it anywhere else. I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to find it, so I had to.
Which super was it?
The 510, the Datsun 510, so it's, people, you never know. I mean, you're not even giving anyone else the opportunity to help you out when you purchase that and spend all that money you shouldn't need to. I would have no problem helping that same person out. If I found another one, I would get it to him somehow, And we basically have to band together as a Diecast community to be able to help each other find things, even super treasure hunts, and not be super stingy. And I know, Derek, you've given a lot of them away and, or traded, like really fair trades and everything. And that's how it should be conducted. You should be able to, as a huge community, you should be able to reach out and not get laughed at when you say, hey, I really would love to have a Datsun 510 super treasure hunt, and not have people laugh at you and say that's not going to happen, or I'm not giving that up or whatever, because I think in our tight-knit community, there's a lot of great people that have, sent me those cars. You sent me one, I may or may not find it, but I'm not paying $100 or $200 for it. It's not going to happen. It's not worth that at all. Not even anywhere near that. And whenever you pay it, you're just you're just pouring gasoline on the fire. Completely.
Yeah, and that's the reason. That's pretty much the reason why the typical going rate for a super now is $100.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first got into collecting, after we got together and
25 to 50.
Yeah. For a lesser desirable super, $25, $35, and then a much more desired super, 50, maybe 60, but even 60 was outrageous back in 2018, 2019. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But due to people just either being lazy or having too deep of pockets and not thinking about the repercussions of buying cars that are set so high initially right off the bat, they haven't had any time to mature value at all.
No, especially same year.
Yeah. By doing that, they have set the bar for this new wave of resellers asking pretty much $100 straight off the bat, and we can't really we can blame scalpers all we want. Trust me, I love blaming scalpers.
Yeah.
I can't stand scalpers.
But
I can't
we know what
stand
the true
resellers.
problem is. Yeah.
The true problem
The true problem
is buyers.
Buyers buying, paying, and I think it kind of started with the box sets too. To be honest with you, it seems like those box sets when they first came out, like the Datsun one, and then you had even the GTR one recently. People are asking like, what were people asking for those? Like, was it $100 or over $100 for that Datsun one when it came out?
So when the first one came out, the one with the 510,
yeah,
I was seeing those go for anywhere between $150 to $175 for a $25 box set.
Yeah,
and people were paying it.
And there's your problem. If nobody paid it,
yeah,
because it's ridiculous, then it would have never happened, So, but to this day, people are still paying those prices people are still paying $75 for a box set like the GTR box set,
Yeah, and it all comes back down. Yep, and it all comes back down to being patient and being disciplined, because we saw the same thing with the black hole box set. What happened with that? $100, $125, $150. And then what happened probably about a month and a half, 2 months after those dropped? They were everywhere.
Yeah.
Walmart was setting up end caps, fully stocked. I went to one in California. I think I went to California that year about the time that happened, and I came across an end cap, and I counted like 24, 25 of them. It was on an old video, and I was just mind blown. I was like, I wonder how the people felt that dropped 100, 125, 150 bucks on this box set. How they feel now? How do you feel now?
Yeah, they learned a lesson. That those people did, but there's still a lot of people that haven't, learned that same lesson. I think a lot of it's instant gratification. Like Amazon, you want to punch that button and get it there the same day or the next day, and you don't want to wait a week to get something. You got to be patient, and got to keep looking, and you could find that same thing a year later, or if it made known to us, we can help you find it or get it for you somehow. It's really not that hard. If we know somebody's looking for something, and if you're a valuable part of the community and you contribute and you're helpful and people like you, then they're going to help you out, and get you that car that you're looking for that you can't find, And sometimes you're not going to find something, and life goes on, you still don't have to pay $200 for it. And things will be a little bit different if the economy takes a crap. I don't think people are going to be paying $200 for super treasure hunts anymore, if everything goes south, but shouldn't have to take something like that for people to change.
Yeah, amen to that. I think you're right too. And it all comes back down to networking. I mean, if you really have a problem, networking and finding some trustworthy collectors that don't care about money, they just want to help you out. Maybe get something in return. Not nothing crazy. Like we're talking supers, same year. Super for super. Something like that. Somebody who's reasonable.
Yeah.
Then you should have no problem being able to network and trade and get what you want. And who knows who you're gonna know 6, 9 months, 12 months down the road. You got to wait it out.
Yeah, for sure. No, I totally agree with that. So basically, what keeps you going as a collector, besides the fact that there's the negativity that we have out there with scalpers and people inside jobs and stuff like that? What keeps you going every day when you're just continuing to collect, and what brings you joy about it?
That's a really good question, Mark. Put me on the hot seat.
Oh, yeah.
Just like David.
Yeah. Diecast.
Let me go ahead and open it.
Somebody was commenting on YouTube that now when they say his name, they can only sing it. There's no other option. So I find that hilarious.
That is hilarious. That means you are having a positive influence on somebody, Mark. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So go. There's many influences and drives as far as collecting goes. Me, ever since I started collecting, I've become magnetically attached to Porsche.
Yeah,
I've always loved them. I've always enjoyed them, but not until I got collecting did I really develop the passion. So obviously, any new Porsche that drops, I'm going to be hot after. Um, it's funny. I was just thinking about it again the other day. I was thinking, you know, God, when we first got into collecting, maybe a couple years ago, I was thinking to myself, God, I wish that they would come out with a premium GT3 RS, and it finally happened this year.
Yeah, the green one.
So stoked.
Which I still have not found.
Yes.
So I just
You still haven't?
I just paid $200 on the internet tonight to buy one, Derek. So I gotta have it.
Did you? Yeah, you got to trade all your supers for that thing. I mean, that's what it's going to take, bud.
I gave blood.
I got you. I'm planning on sending you up a care package. So I'll send you up one. And if Kimber wants one too, let me know. I'll send her up one.
Oh, you already know she does.
She has great taste in cars, by the way.
Oh, she does.
I'm very impressed.
Porsches. She loves Porsches.
Awesome. But yeah, going back to your question. So believe it or not, one of my drives in collecting is beating resellers and scalpers.
Yeah.
Nothing is more gratifying. It's not my sole purpose. I do have a purpose. I love to collect cars. I love these things. But one of the drives is being first to the punch and knowing that the people that hunt that store in that area, to know who I'm beating.
Yeah.
That drives me.
Yeah.
That drives me. Back, when I really got serious about collecting, I will admit I was one of those guys that had to have every set. I had to have every variation. Not anymore.
Yeah.
There's many. I do enjoy collecting a lot of Rail Rider sets, but there's many that I don't have, like that all-terrain Fast and Furious set. Not interested.
Yeah.
And it is the only premium Fast and Furious set that I don't have.
Yeah, it's just not a very good one, and some people may be going crazy over it, but I don't even collect all the sets anymore, honestly. I might just grab 2 cars from a set because they're the only ones I like. I don't really want to pay another $7 a car for stuff I don't want, you know what I'm saying? Just to take up more space in your collection when you can focus on other things and spend money on other things too. So, I mean, I get it. Some people have to have the whole set, I have friends that have have everything, and that's what does it for them, They really love it. They'll go crazy if they can't get that last car to the set, But for me, I don't care that much anymore. I just want the cars I want, and that's it. So.
Yeah, amen to that. And I'm the same way. For instance, that hyper hauler truck set that just came out, I grabbed one Lightning and one Datsun Sunny from it, and I'm like, I'm good. I don't need that Baja Bronco or whatever. I don't need it because I don't want it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, I think we've probably both learned to become a little bit less greedy too, because we can both admit that I think that we grab a lot of the cars that we like. If there's and I still will a lot of times. I think when it comes to Porsche, like GT3 RSs, you're gonna grab most all of them, and you're gonna use them all. You're not scalping them. You're not going to resell them, and you'll give them to somebody who needs one, if need be. And same with Datsuns, I grab every 510 I find. I basically grab it. Not all the Matchbox because I got quite a few of those, but Hot Wheel wise, I pretty much grab them all. But I have no problem sharing those too. Giving them away on giveaways, just throwing it in, randomly to people that don't have them. So I like to give as well. But a lot of times now I've kind of chilled out a little bit and grab less of things and, spending less money so you can kind of have more money to spend on maybe nicer cars, like more rare cars, because I'm trying to get every Datsun 510, and those, that's going to range anywhere from pretty much $100 to $1,000 to $2,000 to get all the rare ones. So you gotta pick and choose. I mean, I'm probably going to start getting rid of some of my main lines and even some of my my premium cars for what I paid for them, basically, just to save some money, save some room, and buy some more Datsun 510 stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that in my eyes. selling stuff for pretty much
Yeah.
what you paid for it, you know. Even a couple bucks
Yeah,
more
I mean,
if you're shipping stuff. So
yeah, just trying to recoup what you spent on it, that's fine. That's acceptable. And excuse me, as far as the hoarding thing goes, we all have our little niche as far as, you actually drive a 510, you got a really good excuse to take every 510 that you find.
Yeah.
And then me, I love Porsche, but if somebody came up to me and was like, "Man, I've really been looking for 3 of those 993 GT2s that came out in PKs, the white ones,"
Yeah.
I'd be like, "There you go, man. There you go. I have no problem with that whatsoever." Because like you said, they're for me, and probably a good amount of them are going to end up being custom. So.
All right, so we're just going to go for a couple more minutes here, and then we're going to probably do a round 2. So I'll ask you one more question here, and then we'll end it for this podcast, and we're going to do a round 2 or part 2. So basically, I'm sure you've been asked this before, but what is your holy grail of diecast? Like, what's that one car that you wouldn't sell for the world if or if you have it or if you don't have it?
I'm happy you asked that question because I knew exactly what my answer would be if you asked me that question like you did with David.
Yeah.
So my holy grail currently is the 993 GT2 Golf RLC.
Okay. What color is that one? Is that the blue, just a blue and orange Golf setup?
Yeah, blue and orange. It's gorgeous. Can't miss it.
Can't miss it. You got to take a look at it every single day. Just look at it, sir. Just look at it.
Would you just look at it?
Would you just look at it? Okay, so we're going to end this stream for now. Tune into the next stream here, and we're going to keep it rolling. So let's go.
Omniface!
Whoop, whoop.